Hello Pakistan and welcome to PakiTech Reviews. This is an unboxing and first look video of the brand new iPad 2. In this video we're going to quickly go over what is included in the iPad box and our first impression of the build quality of the product. If you want to check out a full PakiTech review of the iPad 2, make sure you click the link in the description bar below. So this is the box that the iPad 2 comes in. Just like all Apple products, they use a very minimal approach in packing the product. You have a simple picture of the iPad 2 up front. Now notice that this picture is sideways, which means that Apple is trying to highlight that the iPad 2 is actually slimmer than the original iPad. Here's the picture on the front of the original iPad box. It is a front view. And if you compare the boxes, the iPad 2's box is actually skinnier as well. Also, in comparison, the size of the iPad 2's box is slightly smaller. Not too much is going on the box. You have iPad written on the sides, a little Apple logo on the front, and then you have a little bit of description on the back. If you notice, this particular model is the 16 gigabytes and 3G version of the iPad 2. But now enough about the box. Let's take a look on what's really inside. Let's open up the box. Here's the iPad. And as soon as you pick it up, you notice that it is definitely slimmer than the original iPad. I've been using my original iPad for a little while now, and I can tell you that this actually feels easier to hold as well. We'll get to the iPad in a second. Let's look at what else is in the box. You have the usual documentation, and this particular model is the 3G model, which means that it comes with your SIM tray key. Other than that, you have very basic stuff. The Apple stickers, just a guide of what buttons does what, and then your simple documentation and limited warranty information. You have your USB data cable with the Apple proprietary 30-pin connector and the USB-N on the other side. This can be used for data transfer and will also be used with the USB charger. And when you look at the charger, it's a very basic charger as well. It is used in conjunction with the data cable and is not very different from what the original iPad's charger was. So let's put all this stuff back and start using the iPad. Now let's do a quick overview of the device. The first time you pick this device up, you'll notice that it is very similar yet very different from the original iPad. Similar in the sense that it has all the same button placements. You have your Apple Home button key, you have your volume rocker, you have the mute switch, which can also be used as a screen rotation lock. Then on the top, you have your power and standby button, you have your 3.5mm head jack, and the 30-pin connector on the bottom. What is different is that the build quality of the iPad 2 has considerably changed. The iPad 2 is considerably thinner and lighter than the iPad 1. Just to give you an idea, here's a comparison between the original iPad and the iPad 2. The iPad 2 is very slightly smaller in length and in width. But the true difference is actually in how thick the iPad 2 is. In comparison, the iPad 2 is much thinner. Also, if you notice on the iPad 1, there's this flat side which is not present in the iPad 2. One more thing worth mentioning is because of the tapered smooth side and the back, this will actually be easier to hold than the original iPad. Apple doesn't specifically mention it, but the material on the back also feels a little different than what it is on the original iPad. This means that the iPad 2 doesn't feel as slippery. Also, a very important addition is the two cameras on the new iPad 2. You can see the rear-facing camera right here, however, it does not come with an LED flash. Then again, this device was not necessarily meant for taking pictures. And the front camera is right here in the center, but it is very hard to see. Since this is a brand new device, it needs to be connected to iTunes first in order to be set up, and I will be doing that right after this video for the review. But all in all, if you talk about the build quality of the iPad 2, Apple as usual doesn't disappoint. It looks like a very sturdy device with a beautiful 9.7-inch screen and a very smooth aluminum back. And as much fun as the iPad 2 is, Apple has actually made it easier to hold. So this is the basic unboxing and the first impression of the iPad 2. Stay tuned for a full review. Thank you for watching, Pakistan.